What's it like when you get to Harvard? I mean, this is like the elites. Do you not fit into that law school?
No,
or
totally,
is it not like that?
I totally not fit in. I'm wearing it. It's Labor Day weekend, 1986. I'm wearing a black leather jacket, a Hein Garrick German motorcycle jacket, gold chains. My hair is blown back like Tony Manero, John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever.
Okay.
And I was like a fish out of water. I didn't really have a good understanding of the Harvard culture, and that's fine. Smart enough to do the work, so I did the work. This is a story you'll enjoy because you're a Wall Streeter. I go to my job interview at Goldman Sachs. I'm at the Charles Hotel, which if you remember that was in Harvard Square, and we're in a room where they're interviewing people. I'm in a polyester suit, 100% poly, a polyester shirt and a polyester tie. I'm literally fully flammable for my first job interview, right? And I'm sitting there with the guy and I'm answering all the questions, the TED spread, going into credit derivatives, net present value, and I'm answering every question. The guy says, okay, great, can I see you for a second? There was a woman in the room as well. He takes me outside, he says, you're the worst dressed person that we've ever met at the Harvard Law School. You're the worst dressed person. And I'm looking, what are you talking about? This is like my best clothing, I'm thinking, right? He goes, look, dude, you can't come to Goldman Sachs in polyester, okay? You gotta go buy yourself a suit. And I remember being mortified about that, okay? Because I was like, all right, I call my mother. Of course, she's an Italian mother. She's like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You looked amazing, okay? But I didn't look amazing. Right. I looked like a complete fish out of water, ill-styled, blue-collar kid who bought the suit off the rack from a discounted men's store. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had to go from that upbringing where nobody had seen the inside of an office building, hit a golf ball, swung a tennis racket, to Harvard Law School to Goldman Sachs. And so you would imagine even today, a little bit rougher around the edges, a little bit less of a conformist, if you will.
But that works to your advantage, I would say. And you must have been a chameleon then to go into and pick up things at Goldman and be that guy.
Well, I got fired. I mean, so I was at Goldman for 18 months. I joined on the 14th of August, 1989. On February 1st, it was a Friday night, 1991, I got fired. The firm was in a little bit of a tailspin in the real estate department. I had worked as a real estate investment banker, and they fired me. I was the last person in and the first person out. And they handed me an $11,000 severance check, and they said, I'm sorry, you actually suck at this job, and so we're firing you. And so there I was. I had gone to Harvard Law School. I got my dream job at Goldman Sachs, and I got fired from Goldman Sachs. So I got to tell you, it was very, very rough. I mean, I was fired from the White House, but that wasn't the first time I was fired, right? So now I go home that weekend, and I build this whole networking list. There's no cell phones. I get a roll of quarters. I got to go back into New York City. I'm going to pump these quarters into the payphones and going to try to find myself a job. And I'm talking to one of my friends, and he says, "Hey, there's a job opening at Goldman Sachs." I said, "You got to be kidding me." He said, "Yeah, it's in the sales area, in the private banking area." And I said, "Okay, great." And so this is a learning lesson for people watching. If you get fired, be nice to the person firing you. Don't burn a bridge. So I picked up the phone, I called my old boss, I said, listen, would you recommend me for the other job? And he's like, yeah, I mean, you're a good guy, you probably would do that job better than the one that we gave you. And so I was fired from Goldman Sachs, they gave me an $11,000 severance check, February 1, and I was hired back at Goldman Sachs on March 28th. So the human relations woman, she calls me, she's like, Anthony, I got great news, we're never gonna have to tell anybody that you got fired, nobody here in London, nobody. But can we get the $11,000 check back? I was like, no, I've already spent the money. It was like buying real clothing and stuff like that. So I said, no way. I had school debt. And so I'm one of the few people that's been fired and rehired into Goldman, but got to keep the severance check. So, but that was a brutal period of time for me.